President Trump pulls off a secret infiltration of the city of Chicago, and Democrats are furious. Greg Gutfeld of Fox News goes off on career criminals making life unbearable for the rest of us. New documents show Letitia James lied again to get a $200,000 line of credit, and the media tries to spin data to make Republican states look bad. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. So let's jump right in. Well, Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, just got some very bad news. It looks like investigators have continued to dig through her private files that are public and have discovered another document where she lied about one of her New York properties in order to get better rates and a $200,000 line of credit. So she lied about this 5-unit multifamily being a single house so that she could get better rates. She was able to then get a $200,000 line of credit after lying in order to use that money for other purposes. So this situation just continues to escalate against Letitia James. Not only did she lie, but she lied over and over and over again. Okay, President Trump got into an argument with an ABC White House correspondent. It's really hard to hear what they're saying, so I'm just going to show it to you. It basically said, I asked President Trump, why target Chicago and Boston when there are cities in red states with higher crime rates? Trump said, why? Really? Higher than Chicago? Me. There are, like Memphis and St. Louis. Trump said, excuse me. Do you know how many people were killed in Chicago last weekend? 8. Do you know how many were killed in Chicago the week before? 7. Do you know how many people were wounded? 74 were wounded. You think there's worse than that? I don't think so. Now, he makes a good point that he wants to go in and make things better. And she did show some data. She said, according to data from the FBI, Chicago and Boston have lower crime rates than cities in red states, including Memphis and Tennessee. The data shows that Chicago has 17.5 murders per 100,000 people, and Boston has 3.6, while Memphis and St. Louis have crime rates of 40.6 and 54.1. Now, this is really great, but do you see what she did here? Chicago and Boston have lower crime rates than cities in red states. So she downplays the cities while upplaying red states. So I went over to Grok and I asked, which political party runs St. Louis, Missouri and Memphis, Tennessee? Tell me the mayor's name and their party. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Kara Spencer, the Democrat Party. Kara Spencer has been mayor since April of 2025 after defeating Tashora Jones in the 2025 election. St. Louis mayoral elections are officially nonpartisan, but Spencer identifies as a Democrat. The city has been predominantly Democrat with no Republican mayor since 1949. So is Missouri a red state? Yes. Now let's upplay the mayor. No Republican has run this city since 1949. Let's move on to Memphis, Tennessee. Paul Young, Democrat. Paul Young has been the mayor since January of 2024. Memphis mayoral elections are nonpartisan. Oh, really? Okay. Nonpartisan. So then I ask, when was the last Republican mayor of Memphis, Tennessee? And wouldn't you know it? Since 1991. Wow. So 34 years of being under Democrats, and then whatever this is, 50 plus 25, 76 years of no Republican. But again, let's make it about these being red states. That's exactly what she was trying to do. but it didn't end up working out for her. Now, President Trump, he pulled off something magnificent. They went into Chicago under Operation Midway Blitz. They didn't tell Chicago they were coming because they knew that there would be significant pushback. This ICE operation will target the criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and Illinois because they knew Governor Pritzker and his sanctuary policies would protect them and allow them to roam free on American streets. So this is a really big deal. Now, Chicago is obviously very mad. President Trump's administration launched Operation Midway Blitz, deploying federal immigration and ICE agents to Chicago to target undocumented illegal immigrants, particularly those with criminal records. In a crackdown on the city's sanctuary policies, the Department of Homeland Security claims the operation, named in honor of Katie Abraham, a 20-year-old killed in a drunk driving hit and run by an alleged undocumented immigrant, aims to remove the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens in the city of Chicago. Most people in Chicago are extremely happy, unless you're in Democrat leadership. So Pritzker and Mayor Johnson are furious, and they have sharply criticized the operation as a political stunt rather than a genuine effort to clean up Chicago crime. Oh my gosh, give me a break. Okay, Governor Pritzker dismissed it as scare tactics, stating this isn't about fighting crime. That requires support and coordination, and noted the lack of formal communication from the Trump administration. His spokesperson, Matt Hill, accused the administration of orchestrating a reality TV show rather than collaborating in good faith on public safety. Senator Dick Durbin also condemned the operation, arguing it targets hardworking immigrants without criminal records, stoking fear and wasting public resources. The operation has sparked protests in Chicago, with local leaders and activists decrying an overreach of federal government that threatens communities. Critics argue it prioritizes political posturing over crime reduction. Do you see how they spin lies? Lie after lie after lie. Oh, this isn't really about crime. This is about fear tactics. Oh, if they really wanted to do crime, they would have coordinated with us instead of coming in the dark of night. Well, everybody already knows that they were against this, and that's exactly why they did it. So let me know in the comments. I think that this was a brilliant move. This was like, oh, what? The Iran bombing situation where they came in the dead of night and they're already cleaning up the crime. But Democrats, they don't want this to happen. Why? Because it makes them look bad and it gives Donald J. Trump a win. That's why. That's the only reason why. All right, now, President Trump got some really great news today. Let me go over that with you. Breaking news, victory. The Supreme Court greenlights President Trump's massive illegal alien enforcement operation in Los Angeles. 6 yeses to 3 nos. This is a huge win. Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Elaine Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson dissented. Essentially, what they did is they said that, yes, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, does have the authority to use the Department of Homeland Security, Border Security, local law enforcement, National Guard, and ICE to go in and remove illegal aliens that have no right to be in the United States of America. This is a huge blow to all of the whining and crying from Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, the mayor. So President Trump just got the legal green light from the highest court in the land. Now, watch as lower courts try to block him again. But this is huge. This is an absolute game changer, an absolutely massive win for the Trump administration. Now, let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? I would definitely like to hear from you. I'm also going to point out really quickly to you why the American people voted for Donald J. Trump. Check this out. Breaking news, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, it was discovered, diverted $100 million of American taxpayer money to provide illegal immigrant families with $30,000 of housing over a 2-year period. $4,000 in monthly food stamp money, $500 for food, health care, and even cable TV services. And you wonder why the American people don't want their tax money used on illegal immigrants. You wonder why seniors and veterans felt abandoned by the Biden administration. You wonder why hardworking Americans that pay too much in tax to the government said, what the heck, why are these illegal immigrants getting so many more benefits than the American people? Can you believe that? They took $100 million out of your pocket, and then they gave massive amounts of money to these illegals. $4,000 a month. The average person on Social Security gets $1,200, and these illegals that had been in the country for 5 minutes were getting $4,000 a month in food stamp benefits. Absolutely insane. This is criminal. Absolutely criminal. Okay, speaking of criminals, I want to go through a big story from Greg Gutfeld, something that you're going to not want to miss. But first, a word from today's video sponsor. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county recorder, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you don't know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. So when's the last time you checked your home's title? If your answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Gardner at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring on your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com and use promo code Gardner. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Gardner. Okay, now earlier today, I had my guest on to go through the different crime stories of the Democrat Party. And on there, Drew Allen and I, we went through this horrible story of this man who was released from jail 14 times. He kills this immigrant who came over here legally from Ukraine. It's a horrible situation. I highly recommend you go back and check that out. Well, now Greg Gutfeld over on Fox News, he's going through just how infuriating this is and the language that Democrats, the left, and the left-leaning media use in order to downplay these horrible situations. Check this out.
I'm tired also of the term mental illness being used as a cover for criminality. When a thug targets a woman, that is not insane. He knows she's weaker. When he comes from behind with a knife, that's not insane. He minimizes her ability to inflict harm on him. When the thug flees, that's sane because he knows if he stays, he'll be arrested. So what would be insane would be if he were to face off against a man without a weapon, somebody like a Tyrus. That would be insane. You'd go, okay, that's crazy. But almost all of these people that do this stuff, they go after women. That is not insane. That's self-preservation. This is not insanity. It's an evil mind. And it's an evil mind that is somehow excused in a culture that weaponizes victim status. In this case, mental illness. And what is it about a society that contributes to this? And I say this based on my own personal evidence of being on city streets every single day in New York, that when a homeless person is shouting at people, he's not shouting, "I really made a mess of my life. Boy, I really screwed up." No, his aggression is purely blaming other things and other people. He blames the world, he blames people, he blames you. So we're living in a progressive ideological nightmare where the worst in society is empowered by a sense of victimhood. So when this happens, they will still get people like Brian Stelter that says, "Oh, be careful of the racism," or other people saying, "You know what? We really need to be concerned about our services to the mentally ill," which may or may not be true, but he's not mentally ill. He needs to be executed. Lastly, I asked Grok for a conservative count of the number of times the George Floyd video was played, looking at tweets and social media, Instagram, news networks. It came to a conservative number of 975 million times. That is not counting retweets. So that is a snapshot of this liberal disease, the hierarchy of problems. The media and politicians, people like Stelter, implore you not to cover one problem, but to amplify another one to a destructive degree that leads to riots, leads to dozens of deaths. But do not cover this other thing because that is racist. Mm-hmm. And that is not as important. In the hierarchy of problems, we decide what you cover.
All right. So go back and watch today's earlier broadcast. But basically, this black gentleman in North Carolina was let out 14 different times. And now he's killed this white woman who is actually from Ukraine. She's not an American citizen, but she came here legally and killed her. Now CNN is saying, don't talk about the fact that he's black because that's racist. I don't care what color his skin is. I care that stupid judges allowed this guy out on bail, back on the street 14 different times, and now somebody has been killed. And again, it's not about race. If you go back and you look at the earlier broadcasts, I then show you how an illegal immigrant from South America killed a beautiful black girl and then threw her body off of a bridge. So this isn't about skin color or race. This is about soft on crime judges. This is about illegal immigrant criminals. And this is exactly why President Trump wants to clean up these cities. So hopefully we can get there. Hopefully we will get to the truth, because this is just, it's absolutely infuriating. All right. Now, yesterday I covered for you guys about the RFK Jr. time on Capitol Hill. Well, last week, Democrats and Republicans, heavily backed by Big Pharma, did a coordinated hit job to humiliate, shame, and try to remove RFK Jr. It's now come out that lobbyists work hand in hand with the donation or to the senators that they've donated to most in order to coordinate this attack against RFK, saying that he isn't allowing kids and adults to get vaccines, that he is blocking people from getting COVID, that COVID killed so many people. Well, now one of the top doctors on YouTube, one of the only doctors not blacklisted or removed from YouTube because his information was so accurate, has now come out with some very damaging information to people who got the COVID shot. And if you got the COVID shot, bless your heart. You may be in for some rough years, but there are things you can do to get rid of the spike protein. But let me go ahead and bring this up and let's listen to this together, because this is really incredible data that I think you need to know about.
Well, a warm welcome to this talk. Now, there's been concern for some time now from talking to various experts about the increased risk of cancers, probably all types of cancers or many types of cancers after COVID vaccines. Now, of course, we're deprived of data in the United Kingdom between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. We just can't get that information freely. But there has been a study done in Italy. And what this shows is increased incidence of cancers 6 months after COVID vaccinations. Now, let's look at where we got this from. This is from this paper here, Experimental and Clinical Sciences Journal, peer-reviewed, of course, made publicly available. You can download the PDF. The full paper is there. So people that had vaccinated with at least one dose, their chances of getting colorectal cancer, the hazard ratio was 1.34. In other words, 34% more likely to get it. This is at a 6-month follow-up. Breast cancer, 54% more likely to get breast cancer in the vaccinated group. Bladder cancer, 62% more likely to get it than the unvaccinated group.
Okay. It brings me no joy to share this information. So America's blocking this. RFK Jr. said, I'm literally the top person for all of medical in America. And the CDC has spent 7 months blocking me from vaccine data. In the United Kingdom, they won't release the data. Now Italy releases the data. What are they finding? Turbo cancer exploding like crazy. People are dying. Heart attack increases, stroke increases, cancer increases. But you won't get this information in America. Why? Because of corporate capture. The very thing that they were screaming at RFK Jr. that doesn't exist. So you can imagine these lobbyists. The most powerful lobbying group in America is Big Pharma. You can imagine them saying, okay, you're going up against RFK Jr. later this week. Here's the things that we want you to say to discredit him. Here's the things we want you to say to shame him. Here's the fear porn in order to scare people into getting another shot. So the wheels are coming off, right? New data out shows that over 50% of mothers and expectant mothers are saying, I'm not going to follow the vaccine schedule anymore. Now that I know that they're not doing the safety testing and that these shots have unlimited liability protection, no thanks. Everything should be going through the proper testing. If something is wrong, it should be pulled from the shelf, but that doesn't happen. They cover it up. Why? Because Ronald Reagan gave them bulletproof status. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. You guys, if you got the shot or you got really sick, you probably still have the spike protein replicating in your body. You need to do everything you can to get that out. It attacked my internal organs. It attacked my heart. It attacked my nervous system. I have spent so much money getting that out of my body. But here I am, and I'm so grateful to be alive. Earlier today, President Trump spoke at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. during a Religious Liberty Commission meeting, emphasizing his administration's commitment to protecting religious freedom. He announced the donation of his family Bible used in 2017 and 2025 to swear him in as President of the United States. President Trump said the Bible has shaped civilization, and it's an important part of the American story. President Trump has urged faithful people all over the country to pray for our nation as we enter the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. He said we must be one nation under God, and he's asking for people to pray more and to respect religious freedom. Let me go ahead and show you a video from earlier today with President Trump defending, because it's very interesting.
The Trump administration will have no tolerance for terrorism or political violence, and that includes hate crimes against Christians, Jews, or anybody else. We're not going to allow it. And there was also a horrible killing recently in Charlotte, where I talked about, and so many others, and we're going to get to the end of it. And, you know, when you have horrible killings, you have to take horrible actions. And the actions that we take are nothing. This cashless bail started a wave in our country where a killer kills somebody and is out on the street by the afternoon. In many cases, going out and killing again. Cashless bail. And you try and reason with people like in Chicago with the governor and the mayor. you try and reason with them, and it's like you're talking to a wall. It's just doesn't, I assume it's just a political ideology. They're not stupid people. Must be an ideology that's just buried in their head and you can't do a damn thing about it. And we'd love to go into Chicago and straighten it out. You know, Washington, D.C., you'll be happy to know, is a free and safe zone. It's so safe right now.
All right. Well, sorry, Mr. President. They're going to push back. They're going to sue you every single day. They're going to try to find videos of you doing something stupid in Chicago. They will do everything they can to block you. But, you know, President Trump, he's doing everything he can to keep America safe again. Okay, final story. In Russia's biggest airstrike since the war began, more than 800 drones and 13 missiles slammed into Ukraine in an hours-long assault, igniting Kiev's main government building for the first time as helicopters fought to contain the fires. One drone struck a residential building in the capital, killing at least 3 people. At least 20 were injured. This attack marks a major escalation. This war is supposed to be winding down. Putin said that he wants that, and yet here he is, 800 drones and 13 missiles right into the capital of Kiev. I don't know how they're going to get this ended because Ukraine doesn't want this war to end, and neither does Russia, and neither does most of NATO. It seems like President Trump's the only one trying to bring this war to an end. All right, you guys, that's my update. If you could, give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.